You're probably wasting a lot of time with your LLM API code. Each provider has their own specifics. Tracking costs per user can be a pain, and dealing with rate limits is also difficult. But luckily, there's a solution. Welcome back to Tommy Codes. My name is Tommy, and today we're going to be going over LiteLLM. So in a previous video where I went over LLM rate limits, which you should definitely check out right up here, I mentioned that each of the different LLM providers has their own distinct rate limit headers. And this is the demo code that we were looking at in that video, and where we were having Anthropic and OpenAI write us a story about a man who's lost at sea. And I had to write different code for OpenAI and for Anthropic. And we can see here that Anthropic, for instance, are all prefixed with the string Anthropic. OpenAI, on the other hand, uses different rate limit headers. This is one of the many differences between the two. None of it's really that hard. If you had to sit down and build some client code that called into OpenAI, it's really not that hard. You could do it. The problem isn't just doing it once. The problem is doing it when new LLMs are coming out seemingly every week. That's a lot easier said than done, especially if you have complicated logging, if you have complicated cost tracking. That's where LightLLM comes in. You make requests to LightLLM, and then it's going to figure out how to talk to Anthropic, how to talk to Gemini, how to talk to OpenAI, Grok, you name it. DeepSeek, why not? It's DeepSeek week. Now, LiteLLM is two distinct pieces. There's a proxy server and there's a client library. The client is going to run directly in your code. So if you have a Python project, you would pip install the client and start using it instead of the OpenAI client or instead of using one of these other clients. Okay, so here I've actually imported the LiteLLM client code into my Python project, and we can look at my screen here. We'll notice that I'm doing almost everything that they were doing in the browser, but the difference is I'm loading my environment variables from a .env file, which I'm not gonna show you guys. Yeah, cute response from GPT. Let's see what Anthropic has to say. And this is the core piece of LiteLLM, is if I wanna switch to Anthropic here, I don't have to change any imports. I already have the API key configured. I don't have to do anything. I literally just changed the model, and now I'm gonna run it again. What? Oh, I didn't set the Anthropic API key. And to be honest, I don't really want to, so let's use, I don't know, Grok. All right, so we're gonna try Grok. Grok is a inference provider that hosts Llama, DeepSeek, some other open source models. It's really, really fast. I'm a big fan. Let's see if it works. Yes, okay, and so I switched from OpenAI to Grok without a problem. I did not have to import any more code. I didn't have to touch anything. I just went ahead and switched. That's awesome. What we just looked at here was the Python client. Now we're actually going to stand up the proxy server. Funny enough, to actually hit the proxy server, you would just use the OpenAI Python client and override the base URL. This code's not going to work yet because I don't have the service running. So how we're going to run the server is we're going to use Docker. And if we go into this here, Command K, nice little UI feature, we can search for the Docker deployment. It's not the easiest Docker app to set up. You do need a decent amount of configuration. So we can see here that we're going to need a config file. This config file, from what I understand, is used to map model names to their actual provider. So I guess you can alias models. Maybe if you really want to do something crazy, you could make it so that your clients, when they call into Claude Sonnet, it would actually go to GPT-4o mini. Honestly, don't do that. Well, I might. That would be kind of funny. So what we're looking at here is the Docker compose file. And so we have a LiteLLM, and we also have a Postgres. And I'll explain why we need the Postgres in a second. And I'm mounting this volume. So I have this file called LiteLLM config.yaml. And if I open that up, we'll see something that looks pretty similar to the YAML we were looking at on their little demo here. So I'm setting up, we're gonna have GPT-4o mini, we're gonna have GPT-4o, we're gonna also have Llama 3 on Grok, and we're gonna have DeepSeek. So we got a host of different models to choose from. Let's actually start it up. So to start this, we're gonna run Docker compose up, and that's gonna run both Postgres and LiteLLM. There is some configuration you need for LiteLLM. So I guess you need a master key. I don't know if this is actually the API key or not. You need a salt key, and then you need to give it a URL to Postgres. And the reason it needs Postgres is because this is what it uses to track costs. Those need to be persisted across restarts, and that's something that's gonna have to be stored in a database. So that's why Postgres is involved. And with all this working, I think if we make a request here, this will actually work. Oh, I need to change the model because I don't want to use GPT 3.5 Turbo. Let's use Llama 3 8B. Okay. What? Okay, so apparently the anything is not actually anything. I think I was correct that I actually need the master key. So, yeah. And the reason, by the way, it doesn't matter that I'm sharing this API key with you is because I'm only running this locally. And I can change it. Okay, and that actually did work. So if we go here, we did a completion with Llama 8B. It wrote me some stupid poem or whatever. And then if we go into my terminal, we can see the logs for the service. So it processed one. Now let's actually check out the UI, because this also comes with a UI. Let's actually go to the login now. So this is how you access the UI. It's at localhost 4000, and I guess master key, what was it? SK1234. Let's submit. Okay, cool. And now we're on the UI. And we have here that I've spent, what is that? 1/100th of a penny. That's because I haven't been making very expensive requests for you guys. Let's look at models. Every model that we see here is going to come from the config file. So we're basically just seeing a graphical representation of that. And very nice, it gives us the prices. Those are easy enough to look up if you're just doing a one-off, but really annoying to aggregate that. Okay, we got the status. What do we got here? And the provider. Nice. Okay, usage. This is really, really cool. So it gives us a graph. I know it's not that interesting right now, and I'm not going to sit here and spend $1,000 just for the video. Okay, top models. I guess, so I do wish it didn't round so much because it's making this look like nothing, but anyway. Team-based usage. So that's something you'd probably have to configure. Tag-based usage. We got the model hub. What's going on? Okay, so this is just, I guess, an overview of all the different models. Very cool. We got some JSON here. Input cost per token. Oh, nice. And they give you these little Python snippets that you can copy in. Llama index. Cool. We got organizations. Let's try this. So I guess, look, I don't know if this is going to work or not. I have no idea if this is even a smart thing to do, but we're going to set this to true in your config.yaml. And what are we? Honestly, the one thing I don't love about this is the config file. It's pretty verbose. Let's look up docs. No, I was just here. Okay. Let's just look this up. Is this how it goes? See, I'm like really confused how to set this. Oh, okay, this is better. This is what I needed. So we're the general settings. Here we go. So this is what we do. What was it called? Ugh. All right, maybe this will work. I don't know, honestly. Let's rerun it. It worked? Okay, so we're gonna send another request. We're tailing it. Cool, we made the request. Now what? No spend logs available. What's going on? Is there also caching? That would be really nice. There's no way that caching's enabled. I probably have to install Redis or something. What do you guys think? I'm lost. I'm a little lost. What's going on? Okay, we got the info. I was already at the info. Okay, we can edit it. I guess you can override some of these config things. That's cool. Load balancing. I'm gonna have to read up on some of this stuff. I really wish the logs would show up though. Come on. Logs. So honestly, this is pretty cool. I don't know that I'm using it to the best of my ability. What's going on? Okay, so I think the logging is gonna require more setup than I'm willing to do today. So stay posted for a future video. We're gonna do that, but thanks for watching. Have a good one. We appreciate you guys.